And on to our focus story for this bulletin. Days after the devastating terror attack in Wagah carried out by terrorists nurtured on its own soil, Pakistan now grapples with the sharpest international castigation in many years. Pakistan continues to harbour anti-India terrorists, and its determination to provide a safe haven to terror groups continues to impact regional security. The Pentagon has told US Congress in a 100-page report providing a blunt assessment of the AfPak region, which the US itself describes as the world's most dangerous place. In a straight vindication of India's stand on Pakistan's proxy war, the Pentagon's twice-a-year report states that Pakistan uses proxy forces to counter India's military superiority. It goes on to say that Pakistan could use such forces more as it continues to lose influence in Afghanistan. And perhaps most significantly for India, the report also suggests that the timing of the Pakistan-sponsored Lashkar attack on the Indian consulate in Herat in Afghanistan was timed to send out a message right before Prime Minister Modi's swearing in May this year. The Pentagon report adds more ammunition to India's "I told you so" dossier against Pakistan-sponsored terror. Let's go straight across to Editor Strategic Affairs Gaurav Sawant, who's been tracking this story and has read through this report. Gaurav, this is a report that comes twice a year. We've read many of these reports that the Pentagon periodically submits to US Congress, but in so many words, Gaurav, Pakistan a safe haven for anti-India terrorists who are destabilizing the region, perhaps the harshest vindication of India's stand so far. It's not something new, it's not something that India hasn't said before, but it adds a fresh layer and a fresh dimension to India saying, "I told you so," as far as Pakistan is concerned.
The Pentagon here is calling a spade, unlike the State Department. The Pentagon here is telling the US Congress that Pakistan is a state sponsor of terror, and it's also giving a reason that the Indian army is militarily superior to Pakistan, and that is why Pakistan uses terrorists as proxies to counter India. This report also talks about how Pakistan is a safe haven for terrorists, not just those who are targeting India, but also those who continue to target Afghanistan. And this is a situation post the drawdown. Pakistan hopes to retain some influence in that area, and that is why it encourages these terrorists.
And that's why it encourages these terrorists. My colleague Smita Sharma is also live with us. She had a word with Shyam Saran, who is a former foreign secretary and now on the National Security Advisory Board. Smita, we heard what Shyam Saran had to say. He said that, you know, this sort of thing has been happening from time to time. Indictments of this nature do come from time to time. But he also said that Pakistan really needs to sit up and listen to the things that have been said in this report.
Completely, Shiv. In fact, even if you look at the debate ongoing, really, or even on social media, there are those sections, the liberal voices so-called in Pakistan, while who think that it is very crucial for Pakistan for its own survival to look within. But then there are those hardliners as well who have been pointing fingers across the border at India and talking about all sorts of conspiracies, despite the fact that, you know, there are really, if you look at those Wagah blasts, for instance, that there are 3 terror groups at the moment trying to claim responsibility for those attacks. In fact, in reference to those attacks, Shyam Saran also mentioned that they would point out and indicate to the fact that Pakistan's grip over the various terror forces, the splinter groups which have been operating under umbrella organizations, is also slipping. So this is a damning report for Islamabad.
Yeah.
But what is really of interest is also the fact that, you know, despite the Pentagon coming up with these reports, if you look at the US's approach towards Pakistan and its use of terror as a state policy, there does seem to be that duplicity of approach, especially when it comes to people, terror masterminds like Hafiz Saeed.
That's right. Thanks very much, Smita, for joining us and giving us perspective on that story. We're going to track it very closely. Lots of political reactions are already out. Kiran Rijiju, Minister of State, the only person from the government who's reacted so far, has said, "What's new? This is something we've been saying all along. It's only a vindication." Smita, thanks for joining us on that story.